On today's Fixing Bugs and Stuff, we're gonna patch up the rear luggage area. Okay, so let's get a closer look. There is like a tray in here. It's kind of like a U shape. Let me see if I can get a closer look. I made some holes because it's already rusted. See the holes there? So let's take a look on the other side. We're gonna go in through here and take a look where those holes are. See the holes right there? Now if you look back and if you look around in this area, there's really not any rust. I mean, the paint's still on it, but no really rust from here. So it definitely rusted because there's a leak from the back window. Now, for the most part, this firewall or rear luggage, you want to call it, it's in good condition. You look in the back where the engine sits, it's good. It's good here. So I'm not going to replace this whole thing. There's no reason to. But I definitely want to patch up this stuff. So I'll show you how I do it. Normally, you get a donor bug and you can cut this stuff out. I haven't found a place that actually sells like this portion of it yet, unless they make it, and I haven't found it. I don't know. Maybe you guys can tell me. I don't know. But I've done many things in the past of how to repair this. A lot of times I'll eliminate this foam and have the sheet metal come all the way down. There's many different ways you can do this. So I'll show you what I'm gonna do on this particular car and we'll go from there. First, I'm gonna cut this piece out. I marked it where I wanna cut it. You don't wanna cut it with a cutting, I mean, you can cut it with a cutting wheel, just be very careful because you do have good metal behind here. That's where the back of the engine sits. So you do have good metal back here. So you wanna be careful with that. This is actually thin metal, not just from the rust, but in general, this is thin metal to begin with. There's nothing really structure about it. It's just to cover this back area. So let me cut this. See, I cut out the bad rot, and what I'm probably gonna do next is cut out the rest of this rot. Try to leave as good metal as I can. It does feel like it does have rust, a little bit of rust behind it, but it hasn't rusted through, so it might be just surface rust. We're gonna continue on, and we'll draw some more lines this way, and cut out some more. Okay, so I cut out all the rot that I could in this direction, all the rot that I saw, and I poked through with, I have like a little sharp tool I poke through with, and if it makes a hole, then you know it's rotten there. Besides, I took a mirror too. I went behind here to see if there's any rotten metal back here, and there's none. We didn't find any, so luckily there is none. So the next step would be to tackle that channel. It's a channel that sits inside of here. Channel kind of looks like this. It's like a U-channel. U-channel basically. And all these sheet metals, they all get fitted together. Like this would be your luggage, the back here. That'll be your luggage. It will get like spot welded into here. And then you have this rear piece right here, which also gets spot welded into here. So, yeah, it's like 2 or 3 pieces that get spot welded together. It's kind of hard to explain it with this drawing, but essentially, you're gonna have to clean this out. If this is rotten inside of here, we're gonna have to clean it out. And I'll show you what that looks like right now. Okay, I'm on the passenger side of the car. I'll show you real quick the channel that I was speaking about earlier. You can see it right in here, channel itself. See, I've been poking around in here, and you can see it's kind of rotten in this area. Now, you can replace the whole channel, which is a pain in the butt because it begins to taper over here. So you kind of have to, if you plan to replace the whole channel, you would have to put in the large part first here, and then get a smaller C channel and put it in here and somehow taper it, which I've done before. But it's a difficult, tedious job. But since all of it's not rotten here, and the worst rot was like just in this area, and I'll show you what I replace it with. Okay, just to recap, got a little busy. Had some family come in with some car issues.
What's up, bro?
And you gotta help family out.
What's up, bro?
So, no problems there. What I was saying earlier, I'm not sure if I mentioned it. In this case, a lot of times if this is really rotted out, I will completely remove this whole piece. It's a U-shape kind of piece. And the way I make new ones, I use the carpet strip, or the carpet gripper strip. So let me grab that. And this you can get from CIP1, if you can focus there. And you can shape this to a point where you can slip it in here. You can bend this or bang this to make it fit. A lot of times I'll use a 1/2 inch size piece of wood that you can bang and kind of shape this U-channel into place. And in that process, you add metal. And once you add metal to here, then you're able to install it, tack it in here. If you want to make this area look as best as possible. In this case, I want to go with something different. I'll show you the products I'm going to be using for this. Let me grab them real quick. Okay, so the products I will be using is I'll be using this from Pour 15's patch. It's also like a seam sealer and filler. This stuff gets really strong as far as metal goes, or patching goes. This stuff's really strong. So what you can do, what I will do is put some tape on the other side of this area here, and then we'll pour this in. Or if you don't have this, I think this is like $16 or $17, about the same price of regular seam sealer. If you don't have this and you have seam sealer, you can definitely, again, tape on the other side, then pour the seam sealer in and wait for it to dry, like 24 hours, and then you should be covered. Remove the tape and you're golden. The biggest thing you want to make sure that you have is some kind of transfer metal from here to here. All you want to do is make sure that when you put this last headliner piece in, it transfers very nicely down to this back firewall here. So that's the main goal. That's the purpose. And this thing's really flimsy. See, it kind of moves. It's not meant for rigidity. It's not a structural thing. So I know the holes look kind of large, but it doesn't make any sense to me to rip this whole thing out when a lot of it still is intact. So let me do that now. I'll put tape on the back side of this and start pouring in this patch in. Okay, I applied the patch in here. As you can see, it's kind of messy a little bit, but I used the brush to get it in there really good. It's in there really thick. I say it's about maybe about an 1/8 inch thick in there. And I run it along here. Anywhere there was a hole, that's where I patched. Next thing I'm gonna do is gonna add some sheet metal, and I'll show you that. But before I do that, I wanna show you underneath what it looks like. Okay, underneath here, let's take a look. And I removed the tape already. As you can see here, it's holding up pretty good. It's still slightly wet, but for the most part, looks good. So no holes. Again, this stuff will dry really hard, like metal. No joke. All right, so next step is sheet metal. Okay, so right now I just added some tape across here, across that hole or that gap. And all I'm doing is, instead of using cardboard, I'm gonna use the tape. Then I'm gonna trace the edge of the gap here. As you can see it here, you just take a pencil, go along with it, and you can just rub it in. It'll leave an impression of where the hole is, or the edge of the hole, as you can see here. So it leaves like an impression on the line. And that's what it looks like. And then what I'll do is I'll take the tape off and I'll transfer it to a sheet metal, and then cut the sheet metal using the tape as a template. Okay, taking a step back, as you can see here, I did it in 4 stages. The one on the left here, and then you see the 2 middle ones, then the right. Reason being is that some of the metal, it kind of like comes forward like a 90 degree, and then this metal here kind of bends backwards towards the window. So I did it in 4 stages. That way, I just want to mimic what was there before. So the next step will be to grind all these welds down and start making it look pretty. Okay, I grinded the welds down. That looks pretty good. I may hammer it out just a little bit, just to get it more straight and flat. But other than that, it's pretty much it. What I recommend doing is adding seam sealer wherever you weld all the way around, and then smooth it out. The seam sealer can be sanded to be smooth. You still will have to put in this foam piece. So when you put in your the rest of the headliner is still gonna come through here, and this will still give it a nice transition through. So you still have to do that. But other than that, that's basically it. Oh, one more note. Be sure that you go on the other side. I'll show you. Kind of hard to see in here, but in between these vents in the back of the car here. Clean this up as best you can. I mean, it's hard to get in there to clean. Blow it out. Try to run some, I guess, paint prep back there and try to wipe it as best you can. Get a cloth through these and run it through, and make sure you paint back there. Put primer and paint if you want. But for me, I'm just gonna put primer. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, I'm going to use this POR 15 small can of it here. I'm gonna use it in the channel in there. Since it's already has mild surface rust, and this stuff is great on surface rust. So that's what I'm going to use. I forgot to mention that. So again, you just want to have a clean transition when you add that last piece of the headliner. And so that's basically it. So please like, subscribe, and comment. And thank you for watching.